Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso, Duralde, Christy, Lemire, Matt Atchity. Under the Skin, the long-awaited new film from Jonathan Glazer, who hasn't been in the big screen since Birth 10 years ago. And whoa, what the hell happens in this movie, Christy?
I get to try to describe it without giving anything away. So Scarlett Johansson is the sexiest space alien ever, who comes down and takes over someone's body, kinda, and goes on the prowl through Scotland for lonely single men to lure back to her lair, where she does something with them for her planet's nefarious purposes, and is gorgeously shot and sexy and stylish and kind of fun. Take a look.
So you live alone?
Yes.
You think I'm pretty?
I like a gorgeous.
Come to me.
So I love this movie. Love, love, love this movie. It is gorgeous. I know that there are so many questions left unanswered. I'm so fine with that, because I love it the way I loved Upstream Color.
Yeah, no. It's very comparable to Upstream Color in that you're after, you're like, did they, and who was the, what the, and after a while it doesn't really matter. You just kind of go with the movie
mesmerized.
and let it take you where it's going to take you, and then maybe you figure out what it is, and maybe you don't. Beautifully shot. The sound is amazing.
The sound design's exquisite.
There's a valid complaint that a lot of movies now are this sort of wall-to-wall soundtrack, like kids' movies.
Right.
Like there's always music or explosions. Like
Right.
This movie actually uses the idea of an unending soundtrack to really good to sort of distancing and disconcerting effect, like a lot of weird kind of humming stuff
Yeah,
and
it's very
these
discordant. You know,
strings.
I have to tell you, we've been offered at Rotten Tomatoes, we've been offered the soundtrack to give away, and I thought, God, who in their right mind would listen to this outside of watching this movie? Like you'd go crazy. You'd
There's
want to
music.
kill. Yeah,
Drive around in a van.
exactly.
Well, that's part of what's so cool about it is, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but a lot of it was shot with hidden cameras in the van with like unsuspecting people in
Right.
Scotland who didn't know it was Scarlett Johansson.
I found that out later. Yeah.
I knew that, but I'd forgotten about it while I was
not know that's
watching
her?
it. Well,
I mean, they put her in a
brown
garden
wig.
But you know, she looks kind of like this. She looks kind of like Sylvia Christel.
There's no television in Scotland.
With the dark hair. But I think I read an interview with her where she was saying a couple times folks stopped her and said, like, are you an actress? And she was trying not to break character. She's like, no, why would you say that? And they say, because you're fucking gorgeous, you know, but they didn't know it was her. But it's just daring and strange, and yes, it's kind of languid. I know you didn't love it the way he and I do, but I'm into the hypnotic quality of it, the languid pacing. Go ahead.
I like this movie a lot, and I like that it doesn't answer every question, and I like that it keeps you guessing. And this is one of those movies that the less you know about it going into it, the more exciting it is. I felt like in a couple of places the rhythm's a little off. You know, there's a couple of times that you're getting, like, really, do we need 40 seconds of blank screen with no sound? Like,
Sounds great.
right? Like,
Sold.
there's a couple of places that it's like,
No one will be seated during the.
like who still, you know, I had this feeling, the feeling that you get sometimes when you realize that they put up the subtitles on the screen for a really long time because some people in the audience take a really long time to read. Like, that's kind of how I felt in a couple places here. Like, really, do we need
I
people
don't feel
this
like
slow?
this movie's going out of its way to accommodate anybody.
No.
No, I don't think so either. I just felt like there's a couple of spots, not a lot, but there's 4 or 5 places in this movie that it was like, okay, what are we doing here? And that might be my fault. It might be that I don't get it. But there were a few places.
I don't think I get it either. I don't think Alonso gets it either. And that's part of why I love it.
I want to go back and read the book now. This is based on a novel.
Now, that's my other quibble with this is that this movie it takes the basic premise of the novel and goes in a completely different direction in that the satire and subtext that's in the novel is a completely different thing than what the movie's doing. Which is fine, but the movie is kind of a study of, you know, in painting broad strokes, almost a study of predation, right? And it's she's preying on men, and then things switch, right? The book does a different thing. The book is more about like corporate farming, Yeah, seriously, honestly, like it's.
I like this better already.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love her performance in this because she has to do so much just with her eyes and just with her presence. And a lot of time when she's by herself in the van, she is sort of like a robot. And then she has to turn on this charm when she
Yeah, she
needs
does a
it.
good
She's
job.
amazing in
And
this.
there are moments where I felt like watching Scarlett Johansson. It's like, okay, that is what it would look like if you were an alien and you were taking all of this in for the first time of what the world had to offer, the sounds and the sights and the people and the sensations. It was all there in her face, and it was, and Glazer is so great at that. I mean, for me, one of the highlights of Birth, there's a 2-minute close-up of Nicole Kidman, and so much shit is happening, and so she's conveying so much. This is when her face moved, and and so it was just, she's so great in that, and he really knows how to get that out of her, and he does the same with Johansson in here.
Yeah. I love Sexy Beast, and I really like Birth a lot.
Yeah,
so.
Sexy Beast, Jonathan Glazer's first film, is an amazing film. But to your point about the 2-minute shot in Birth, I felt like there's some shots in here that are very long shots where really nothing's happening, and I guess that's where my quibble is. Like, okay, I'd get it if there was something to kind of convey.
I think that was just more of an idea, more a question of sort of maintaining the tone and keeping the kind of hypnotic, feel of it going. I was into this, even when it was baffling me. I was just. What
It's very
next?
suspenseful, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some scenes in this that, I think this movie is terrifying without being gory. The scene at the beach is one of the
my God.
scariest scenes in a movie I've ever seen.
As a parent.
And I don't want to get into, even without, yes.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I almost reached over like. Okay.
I was full of a ball during that scene.
That scene is terrifying in 3 or 4 different places, all around just being on the beach. It's amazing, and I think that what this movie does really well is it is very scary. I don't think it's perfect. I didn't love it quite as much as you. I've read in a few reviews people bring up Kubrick, and I think that there are some fair comparisons here in a few places.
Yeah, I think there's something kind of 2001 about this movie in terms of, I think that as time goes by, we'll sort of collectively decide what it's about, But I think at the moment there's going to be, there will be differing interpretations and a lot of what the hell was that,
Yeah, Kubrick, but also I see a lot of David Lynch in this as well. In the dark interiors and in the creepy way people interact with each other. So I love, it'll be on my top 10 list. I love this movie.
This is a good show. 'Cause I didn't see this, and I didn't see the last movie we did. You guys talked about Alan Partridge. You guys have made me want to see Alan Partridge and Under the Skin so badly.
Whoa! Hey,
So
our work here is done.
Yeah, that's nice. So numbers.
I 9, absolutely, it's terrific.
9.3.
7.5.
It's an 8.6 for the for Under the Skin.
Naked Scarlett Johansson. Bye.
Oh Jesus! I don't even need to see it.